Hey there, welcome to this tutorial on building to-do app using React. My name is David Oshikeye. I am excited to guide you through this project. Whether you're a complete beginner or looking to brush up on your React skills, this video provides you with the step you need to create a functional and a stylish to-do application from scratch. Mind you, we'll be using Material UI for our components, such as the button, text input, and our container. Throughout this tutorial, we'll cover this section of React, including component, state management, and hooks. By the end, you not only have a fully working to-do app, but also a solid understanding of how to use React in your own application. So grab your favorite code editor. I will go in with Visual Studio Code. You can download it from their official website, Microsoft, or just Google Visual Studio Code. Let's dive in. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss on any future tutorial. Let's get started. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just gonna start writing, create a new React project. So which I'm gonna write npx create React app, and I'm gonna call it to do. Then I'm gonna enter to install our packages. So this is gonna take like few minutes. So now that we have our React to do project installed, I have to navigate or cd into our to do ls to list. Then we can just start just to make sure everything is working. Npm start. So I'll be doing some quick code cleanup. And just remove all this. I don't think I need this. The class. No. Then I'll be creating a new component which I'll be calling to do JS. Then I'll be writing this simple command to create a quick React component for us. RAFCE, save, come back here. I'm gonna do some imports to do. And I'll just be importing out to do app. Save. Okay, nice. Before I forget, we need to quickly install our Material UI. As I said before, we'll not be writing any CSS. We'll be using Material UI in our application. So I'll be open my Material UI website. I will go to Material UI mu.hi.com/materialui.com. Then you can just install this package, copy, and come back to your Visual Studio Code. Open a new node list just to make sure we're on the right file. Ls to list, cd to do list. Then I'll be pasting the npm command to install our Material UI to our application. It's gonna take a few minutes, so just wait. Okay, nice. So we have our material UI installed, our emotion style and React as well installed. Now that we have our material UI installed into our project, let's make use of our to-do components. First, we have to import useState hook from React library because we'll be needing the useState hook for our local state management. UseState hook. Then we'll be declaring a state variable using useState hook, and I will call it to do. Set to do useState. Then I'll set it to an empty string. Okay, we now have our useState variable declared. Let's use material UI bus component in GSS and also create a container for the parent element. So first I'll be removing the div to do, then I'll be importing bus component and container component from material UI. Then I'll also import okay, let me just import it first so it does not crash our application. Bus, and I'll be needing container as well. And UI straight. Save, okay. Container close. Then I'll be adding some properties to the box. Display. I want it to be flex. Save. Then I want to align items. I want to get centered height. 50. No, I'm gonna give it 90 viewpoint height. Save. Let's check our application. Everything still works fine. Then for the container, I'll be adding max width. I'm gonna give it small. Then I'll style it. Okay, padding. I'm gonna give it padding of 20. Background color is gonna stay white. Then border radius is gonna be 8. Then box shadow. For our box shadow, it's gonna be having these values 0, 0, 10, 0. Then RGB A 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 1. Close the RGB, save. Let's check it out. Okay, fine. Back to our Visual Studio Code, and we'll be adding our text field so we can take user input and a button to add our to-do list. Text field is coming from material UI. Save. Go back to our application. Let's see. Okay, we already have it here. So I'll be adding some properties to our text field. Label. Then I'll be calling it enter to do. Enter a new to do. I think this is the right name. And the variant, I'll be using outlined. Save. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, we're doing good. Then value. Value is to do. Then we're doing on change. Then we're grabbing the event. then set the to do, then we get the events.target dot value. Save. To do E is not defined. Okay, how about E? Save. Let's check. Okay, all right, perfect. Then we had button to it. Let me remove these so we don't need that one. Save. Let's say application still works. So let's add a button. Our button is still coming from Material UI. This is one of the importance of using Material UI. You don't have to write your CSS. They already have so many components that you can just import direct from Material UI. Save, and I'll be calling it to do. Save. Okay, nice. I'll be adding some few properties to it. The variant is gonna be called outline. Contained. Nice. Color is gonna be primary. Save. Let me add another style. Let me add style to it. And margin top. This goes to 10 peso. Save. Let's give it a full width. And the full width is coming from Material UI as well. Save. Okay, nice. Let me add the full width to this as well, to our text field. So it takes the whole width of the box or the container. Full width. Save. Okay, nice. Have our text field set up. Let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and add Visual Studio Code and add a function to our button. So when we click on it, it takes the to-do and store it into the current list of our to-dos. It's gonna be on click, and I will call name of the function add to do. Copy this. I'm using our function. And I'll be creating, and I'll declare a new to do, which is gonna be to do list. To do list. Set to list. useState. That's gonna be an array. Save, just to make sure everything still works. Okay, I think there's some space around this add button. Okay, I added margin instead of margin top. So I think that's where the error is coming from. Okay, it looks nice now. Then the first thing we want to do is, like, we want to grab every time we enter a new to do, we want to store it into the list. Set to do list, and this is going to be an array, and I'll be using the spread operator to grab the to do list, spread the to do list elements, and I'm adding the last to do to the end of the to do list. Save. Okay, this is fine. Okay, let's console log our to do list so we can test out our application just to make sure it's working to this stage. Log to do list. Save. Go back to our UI. F12 to open developer 2. Enter some details. Save. Add more. So as you can see, the array is having array list. So our application is working. Let's go back to our application and add some few stuff. So in case when we had to do, when we click on it to do, the text input is cleared. So first we can just set to-do list to make it empty, save, go back to application, refresh, then add something to it. Now that the moment you enter, it clears off. And as you can see, the moment we are adding, it's taking empty input, so we should kind of fix that as well. In our to do, before we start adding anything to it, let's wrap our set to do into an if statement. If statement to do the trim, so we're trimming our to do. It is empty. Then we can copy this, show it back into our to do. Remove the console log. I don't think we need this. We're fine. Save. Go back to our application. Refresh. Oh, I removed the console.log. Let me put it back. Console.log. To-do list. Save. Go back to our UI. Refresh. So you stop adding an empty to-do list. Perfect. We now have our input turned successfully into our to-do list. We should now display our to-do to the UI. We have to go back to our Visual Studio Code. And from our Visual Studio Code right below our button, I'll be using list container for material UI. Let's make sure it's imported. We have it's now imported from material UI. Inside of our list container, I'll be using the map function to iterate through our to-do list. And before we can use as we already know, before we can use JavaScript into our JSX, we have to make our we have to put our JavaScript into curly braces, and it's to-do list dot map. I'll grab the first to-do list. In this case, I'll be calling it item. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but I'll be calling it an item this time. Then I'd like to display another component inside our JavaScript. So and the name of the component is called list item, and this is still coming from material UI. I want to get a key and give it the value of index. Let me make sure the index is coming from our map. And secondly, right before we continue, I just to make clear why do we need the key. We need the key so that React can track each item from our application. If not, React is going to be giving us warning. So yes, so secondly, I want to import the property dense from list item just to compact our items. Save. Then inside of this list item, I would like to display these items to the screen, and I'll be using another material UI component which is called list item text. List item text. List item for material UI. And to display to the screen, we have to use primary. And the items we want to display to the screen is called item. Save. Let's check it out. Okay, fine, it's working. Now let's add a delete button on each item. So when we click on it, we can get rid of each item or our to-do items. So I'm going back to my Visual Studio Code. Then from this list item here, inside our list item, I'll be using another component for material UI, which is called list item secondary. Let me see if it's imported from material. Okay, code is imported. Then inside of this list item secondary action, which we'll be using to place item to the far right of each item. I'll be calling the item button, which is still coming from material UI as well. Save, and I'll be giving some kind of property, the edge, and it's going to go to the end, and the area label, I'm going to call it delete. Save. Let's check out our UI to see what's going on. Okay. Then I'll be using another component from material UI, which is going to be called delete icon. I'm just going to save for now. Save. Let's see. Okay, so delete icon is not defined. Oh, okay. So what we have to do here is we have to use do some kind of install. Let me go back to our material UI. From here, material UI icon, and we have to install this package. ls to display. I'm going to remove all these ones just to install the material UI on this package itself rather. Okay, now that we have our material icon installed, we should import the delete icon from material icon, not from material UI, from material icon. Import delete icon from MUI.material icon / delete. Save. Let's see if this fixes our error. Perfect. So we have our delete icon added to our application. So when we click on each to do, I want us to delete it. So we're adding a function to the icon button. So right now it's not working. So we're going back to our Visual Studio Code. Then right on our icon button, I'll be writing a function, and I'll be doing an event. Click event. And the name of our function, I will call it delete to do. And right now I'm going to leave it empty. I'll be back. Then I'll be creating the function. Const delete to do. Right now I'm still going to leave it empty. But before then, I would quickly like to modify on our set to do list. I would like to modify every time we enter a new to do. I want to create an ID right away from this set list before we start storing into our list to do. So to do that, I'm calling item ID, and I'll be using the date function, date now, which is going to give us random numbers. So I save. Then instead of me using index, I'll be using item ID, as well as here I'll be using item.todo. Save. Let's see if our code still works properly. Okay. Item.todo. Okay, it works now. So I'll be passing the item ID. Just to make sure everything works. Let's display the item ID. Item ID is not defined. Item ID is not defined. Just trying to set up. Item ID not defined. Delete item. Oh, I found it. So it's gonna be item dot to do, and it's gonna be item that ID. Save. Go back to our Visual Studio Code. Okay, now our code is working. So we have it now. So we'll be getting, I'll be calling it ID or item ID. I'm just gonna call it ID not to complicate things. Then to delete an item, I'll be using the filter function. But before then, I have to get the set to do list, so I can create a new list of items into our set to do list. Then I'll be grabbing our first to do list dot filter, and I want to introduce its items. Then item dot item ID not equals to our ID. Save, just to make sure everything is working. On our set to do list, I'm grabbing our to do list, then I'm filtering, I'm getting each item, and when it's not equals to them, we're setting the details into our setting the new to do list into our set to do list. So let's try out our application. Hope it does not break. Now our application works. Let me test it one more time. Okay, finally, I would like us to add a checkbox to our to-dos. So when we are done with each to-dos, we can click on it and it's going to line through each of our to-dos. For example, when we click on our to-dos, I want us to add a checkbox right on our to-dos. When we click on it, it's lined through each of our to-dos. So I'll be going back to the Visual Studio Code, and right at the top of where we have our to-dos displayed, I'll be putting a checkbox at the top. Checkbox, and this checkbox is a component coming from Material UI. Save, and I want to add a quick on change event on the checkbox. So when we click on it, it's going to trigger that we have something being changed on our checkbox. On change, and I'll be calling the name of our function toggle completed. For now, I'm going to be passing an empty argument into our toggle completed. Save. No, I don't want to save. It's going to blow up our application. I'm writing the function toggle completed, and for now I'm going to leave it empty. But before I continue, I would like to modify on this set to do list. So every time we add a new to do, I want to add a new property which is going to be completed, and I want to set it to false. So now it's set to false. So back to our And on check on change event, I like to get um the to do ID, item ID, and it's gonna be item.item.id. Save. And back to our to do, I'll be grabbing the ID that we passed into our function. I'll be calling it ID, and I'll be writing a new function. And the function I would like to write, I would like to iterate through using the map function. Then each time there's a new we click on this ID that matches this function is being clicked, I would like to set it to true. From first that we have right here, I'd like to set it to true. So it's gonna line through our to-dos. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna write a new set to-do list, and I'll be using the map function to iterate through it, and it's gonna be to-do list dot map. I would like to grab each item to iterate through each item, and I'm going to be calling it item. I'm going to grab the whole item or the whole object. Then it's going to be item dot item ID is equals to ID. Then if it matches, if it is true, I'm writing a function. If it is true, then I'll be modifying the object itself. Then I'm spreading the whole item. Then I'm setting completed to the opposite. If it is true or false, then I'm setting to that to the opposite of the completed value. Item dot completed. If it does not found this ID from the iteration, if it does not match from this ID here, then I'm just gonna return the item itself. Save. Then in our list item right here, I want to write a simple, I want to add a style to it to line through. And it's gonna be text decoration item dot completed, which is gonna give me the if the value of the this item completed. If this is true, then I want to line through. Else, I want to set it to none. Okay, so let me just quickly go back through the code. So we added a new checkbox, and on our new checkbox, I added on change event. So when we click on something, it's going to trigger, and we are setting the value of, we're creating a new function called toggle completed, and inside the toggle completed, we are getting the item and the ID of the item itself. Let me just say the item ID itself, not to complicate my explanation. Then we are calling this function, and we're grabbing this ID. The ID that we passed from item ID is being passed here, which we received. And what we're doing on our set to do list, we're iterating using the map function. And from the map function, we're looping through each item. So the first item that we get, we're going to do the item.id is equals to this ID. If it matches, then we will change the value. We're spreading it through using the spread operator. And we are changing it completed to the opposite. If it is true, it's going to change. If it is false, it's going to change it to, if it is true, it's going to change it to false. If it is false, it's going to change it to true. If it does not find this ID that matches here, we're just going to return the ID back. We're going to set it back to the to-do list. Hope our application works. We're going to test it out now. Nice, it works. And let's check the delete as well. It works. One more time. Let's test one more time. Okay, application works.